Steve Gentry, Elizabeth Hess, and congressional candidate Rodney Davis with us this morning. Glad to have you with us once again.
Thank you, Dave.
Welcome.
Big news there last week. I see you've kind of got Jim Edgar on the bandwagon. How did that come about?
Well, you know, back in June, beginning of June, end of May maybe, I called him up, said, Governor, I'd like to get some advice from you. He said, well, how about coming over to my house tomorrow? So drove over to Springfield where he lives and sat down with he and Brenda Edgar and their dog.
How much input did the dog have?
The dog had a lot of good input and a lot of good advice.
Okay.
I mean, it was a great meeting. I ended up staying there 2 hours talking about politics. You know, I'd only shaken Jim Edgar's hand when he was governor. Really never knew him. It was one of the best meetings I've ever had in my career, and he just laid out things that I shouldn't do. And also, I was surprised by the knowledge he had about this whole 13th Congressional District nomination process. And he was very helpful. Agreed to do an event for me, came to my hometown of Taylorville June 11th, and has just been a friend. And I'm honored to have that.
How does that district kind of roll? Is it more Democratic as you get close to St. Louis, or is there Springfield area kind of runs more Democratic, doesn't it? How does that shake out for you? I mean, it's always considered a Republican district here, but although the state swings Democratic in the presidential elections, I mean, do you see a trend either way?
This district is a good 50-50 district. It's a good barometer district. I think, judging by the past few elections, it may trend more Republican over the decade. But right now, we've got to take this as a good, solid 50-50 swing district here in the state. And that's how we're campaigning. We're campaigning to win in November, because I can't win by just getting Republican votes. We've got to get folks that want to believe in my campaign, that are independents and that are Democrats too, and that's where we're reaching out to. But this district is considered a 50-50 district, much more so than what the old Tim Johnson district was.
One of the issues that divides voters, and that is going to probably be what makes a congressional candidate this fall, is taxes and the Bush area tax cuts. Tell us what you plan to do for the state of Illinois in that sense.
Well, what I want to do is I want to extend the Bush tax cuts, and I'd even be in favor of extending them permanently, because as I've traveled throughout this district, Elizabeth, the small business owners and the farmers, they talk to me about job creation. They're the ones that are going to fix the economy. They're going to create the jobs necessary to turn our economy around. Well, they can't create jobs when they don't know what their tax bill is going to look like after December 31st. And that's a problem. It's a huge problem. And we cannot raise taxes when it comes to fixing the economy. When we're in this economic doldrum that we're in, we cannot raise taxes on those who we are hoping will bring us out of it. And that just frustrates me. It's common sense to me, and I can't imagine a candidate coming in and saying that they want to let those Bush tax cuts expire.
Well, that's some of the frustration we're seeing in Washington this week, as we're not going to get any action on a farm bill, it looks like. And, of course, the ag economy has been kind of carrying everything else, so a lot of folks are mystified as to some of the thinking on that nothing probably is going to happen before the August 4th recess now. So that's really going to put them under the gun when they get back.
You know, it is, and it's very frustrating. This drought is brutal. I met with farmers last week. We just got the endorsement of the political arm of the Illinois Farm Bureau at their activator arm, and did some press conferences last Thursday, and talked about the drought and its impact, and also talking about a comprehensive farm bill. And I'm frustrated with Republicans and Democrats in Washington because they haven't been able to come to an agreement on this important issue. I'm frankly not convinced that they're going to do that before the November election, but I will urge both parties to come together and get that done. And what has to happen is we have to have a strong crop insurance program as part of it. And this drought shows the importance of a strengthened risk management program.
One of the first things Tim Johnson did when he came in as congressman was get on the ag committee. Is that the direction you intend to
Absolutely.
When you get to Washington?
Absolutely. I'd love to be a member of the Ag Committee, and I'll request that.
One of the big issues that you and Dr. David Gill seem to be opposed to, other than taxes, is how to spend money and how to cut the budget cuts and things like that. What other issues do you and Dr. Gill are you adamantly opposed on that you think you'll have to go to the voters and remind them that you're on their side?
Well, I mean, you mentioned taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we differ greatly on taxes. He has said on this station that he wants to let the Bush tax cuts expire, which would be a tax increase on all Americans. Spending. I think we have to control spending. I'm not an across-the-board spending cut guy. I want to be somebody who walks in and helps to reprioritize the way Washington spends money so that our tax dollars that we send out there get spent on things that we want it to get spent on, like roads and bridges, clean water, sewage treatment facilities, those types of common sense issues. We differ greatly on health care. My opponent has said that Obamacare doesn't go far enough, that he wants a single-payer system. I'm not for that. I'm for creating a system that is going to be a market-based approach, allow all Americans to get the coverage that they need, but also ensuring that we have a safety net, but it's a market-based safety net for those who are uninsured, underinsured, and underserved.
Do you think that's the agenda of the Obama administration in their second term, that this Obamacare will be unworkable and that will end up being a totally taxpayer-funded system?
You know, I look at the fines that one will have to pay if they're not insured, and I think they're not really deterrents. And the more people that you put into the exchange, the more government control you're going to have over that. And I'm just not in favor of a single-payer system or a government-controlled system. And I have a personal interest in that because my wife and I had a chance, and our family had a chance to choose where and when to seek medical treatment. We were able to get a misdiagnosis turned into a correct diagnosis when my wife survived colon cancer 13 years ago. And I'll be the last person on the floor of the House of Representatives to be drug off with my fingernails on the carpet if anybody tries to take the ability for families to choose their own medical destiny and choose where and when to seek medical treatment and give it to the government.
Are you planning on having debates with Dr. Gill? Have any of those been scheduled up to this point?
Not that I'm aware of, but absolutely. I look forward to it.
Do you think there's going to be, both campaigns are spending a lot of money at this point, more than a lot of folks expected to see. Do you think the Democrats are going to throw a lot of money at Gill in this campaign? I mean, you seem to be doing pretty well fundraising-wise so far, so.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, I mean, from what I've read,
it's been a difficult process, but you know, I'm in a shortened season compared to most people throughout the rest of the country as candidates, and it's been difficult. But I'm excited by the fact that we've had folks like Jim Edgar and many folks around the Champaign-Urbana area that have decided to invest in our campaign because they believe in our message of keeping tax rates low, attacking the national debt, and repealing and replacing Obamacare. But yes, I think the national Democrats are going to spend a lot of money in our race and throughout Illinois. Nancy Pelosi has said that her path to the speakership runs right through Illinois. And if you agree that Nancy Pelosi needs to be Speaker of the House again, then you're going to see and you're going to invest in the Democrat campaign committee, and they will invest here in Illinois. And I look forward to having that challenge. I look forward to that debate, and I look forward to talking those issues over the next 3.5 months.
From where I sit, everybody needs to vote because this is going to come down to within a couple hundred votes. This is going to be one of the closest elections the state has seen.
I hope not. I hope we win by a lot more than that. But it's going to be a tight race, and I want to urge everybody that can to get out and vote. And we're going to be sending our message, meeting as many folks as possible over the next 3 months. I can't believe we only have a little over 3 months left in this cycle. But it's going to be a fun time because I look forward to that contrast between my opponent and me, and I look forward to spreading that message to the voters.
Had much communication with Congressman Johnson's office? Has he given any input or anything in your campaign? Heard much from him?
You know, I talked to Tim a few weeks ago at an event briefly. We're working with his office, but we're out trying to run our campaign and get the endorsement of every single voter here in the 13th district. And I look forward to working with Tim. It's great legacy that Tim has, 44 years of public service. Tim is somebody that we'll be sitting down with hopefully very soon.
Well, as I often say on the program, I asked you that question so I could ask you this one. Have you had much conversation with Congressman Shimkus in his office lately? Has he given you any advice in your run?
Same thing. Yeah. I have not talked to John in a while, but obviously I'll be chatting with him very soon too. And that's the thing. the members of Congress, they're busy. They're out in Washington doing the job that they've been sent to do. I'm here campaigning to join them. And my time is spent meeting the voters in this district. It's a brand new district. So people kind of get they kind of get misinformed sometimes in thinking that there are old boundaries here, that we're working in an old boundary in old districts. This is a brand new district, and we spend a lot of time educating voters on what that new district looks like and why they're looking at me rather than John Shimkus or Tim Johnson, or in many cases in this district, Aaron Schock.
All right. Congressional candidate Rodney Davis, thanks for spending some time with us this morning. We appreciate it.
David, Elizabeth, thanks for having me on again.
Thanks.
This morning, we appreciate it.
David, Elizabeth.